Peace, family, and welcome to another very special episode of Black Families Rising, the podcast, where we bring the Black family to the forefront. I am one of your hosts, Grinder Spencer, aka Grinder the Strong Dad, and this is a recording from our live podcast event 2025 that we had April the 19th. If you guys are members on our Patreon, you can see the full footage with everything involved. So this here is a special recording that we did in our efforts to fight against gun violence for our Books Up, Guns Down initiative. We hope that you guys enjoyed. Those who watched it live, we thank you so much for the love. And it was an honor doing this for you guys. Those who were in attendance, we were very, very honored to be there with you guys. So without any further ado, please check out this recording and leave any comments or suggestions for us to do this again. All right. Peace and love, everyone. Check out the recording. All right. Peace.
Check. We good? Without further ado, representing M5 Clothing, also a good friend of mine representing Books Up, Guns Down, Brother McGee. All right, one of the best fighters that I know around here, pound for pound. My man, we call him Swift. Jeremiah Simmons. I met this dude guy. One of the coolest guys I met. Great coach. I love what he does. He's the guy that accepted us with open arms here. Everybody, Coach Claude Brown.
Okay.
I couldn't help it. Wonderful young lady that I just met also here at the gym. Great life coach. Renewing minds. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Keitha Riggins. All right, next is another great brother who we met and definitely gave us love with open arms. We met when we did the Juneteenth celebration last year. He is now the acting president of Juneteenth of Doula. All right, last but not least.
That comes small, hurt.
Great brother, he's going to be here to teach us about the gun laws, gun education, and he's also my key vocal provider, Mr. Stephen Brown. All right, everybody, thank y'all for coming and thank you for your patience. We are Black Families Rising, Inc. We started this as a podcast, Black Families Rising. I am your host, Grinder Spencer, aka Coach Grinder the Strong Dad.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I got this. Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang is for the kids. We gotta get this mic thing right.
That's okay.
And here with my lovely co-host, my wife, my all in all, my business partner, Mrs. Jasa Love. Say hello, Jazzy.
Hey, peoples.
All right, so we're gonna start with opening question, a little icebreaker to get this thing started. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
We're gonna see where y'all at. Any of y'all like to read? Y'all just eat me. No. So what is one book that changed your perspective on life? Whoever wants to go.
Autobiography of Malcolm X. No, seriously. Yeah. All right.
Go ahead.
That was it. You asked me for the book. I gave you the book.
We can't hear you on the mic.
Okay. All right. I gotta give you the definition.
Why it changed?
I'm sorry. Let me be disrespectful. Oh yeah, but I knew very little about Black history until I think that was the first history book that I read that was geared toward Black folk and actually explaining the struggle and not skimming through and leaving out the parts that matter.
All right. Love that. That was a great answer. That was one of my favorite books too. The babies like it too. All right. So I'm gonna ask that question again. Who else wants to answer? All right.
I have to say in Robert Bern before they power. I actually read that book while I had done an extensive deal while I was in prison. But I really did more on that. I'm pretty sure y'all won't know about that. But nevertheless, before they go to power, maybe they got like different aspects as far as like friends, you know, the company you keep, you know, things how to manage yourself and just feel yourself in general.
All right. True. Yeah. Love that book too. All right. Brother Mill, Brother Jesse, we want to go Coach Brown. Y'all don't read. I read it on that. All right. Anybody else want to answer that question? Next question. What inspired you to be part of the Books Up, Guns Down movement? That's that.
See, there was this email, right, that came to my phone. Yeah, it was a very well worded email that kind of got my attention.
Okay.
And anything dealing with the Black community, I'm in.
Love it. All right. You gotta say something, man. Come on, say something.
But nah, but you know, I used to work at a group home. I used to run a group home, and I worked with a lot of Black people, and how wicked they was with them and stuff, crazy, and they don't read. So that's what caught my attention.
All right.
I would say for me, honestly, it was y'all energy. You know, having a desire to want to, you know, do more stuff for nonprofits and things like that. But, you know, as this thing, as it unfolded, you know, as you guys were building this thing and, you know, it was just like, wow, this is something real. It's something, you know, something new. So for me, honestly, it was that. It was y'all.
Oh.
No.
Thank
you so much.
All right. Anybody else want to?
Just what's going on right now with me being a mother of 3 boys and everything that's going on for us now. That's good.
Very, very true. And I'm thankful for you guys being a part of this for us. It's our first live event here in Bern, North Carolina.
Yes.
We've been doing a few fundraisers leading up to this, but this was our first real live event. I'll answer the question for myself. Books Up, Guns Down. We started this. We lost someone who we cared about very deeply last year, and not just last year. I actually lost a nephew of mine like a couple of years ago to gun violence, and you know, it was just on me and my wife's heart. So we needed to do something, you know, that meant something, and I always wanted to do something to give back to our community. You know, we went through some stuff in our lives and we got blessed. So I always told the Most High, you know, for those blessings, I would pay it forward. So that's what we're doing, is paying it forward and doing what we can for the community.
Yes, sir.
Right. Make sure that everybody got their questions. It's a cheat sheet, y'all. Idea. All right. So let's get into it. All right. Understanding the crisis. How has gun violence personally impacted you or your community?
Well, first, gun violence affected a part of my family. I don't know if everybody knows him, but this white boy named Matthew Small, they call him Shaggy. That was my partner, that was my brother, you know what I mean? And I actually met him through a phone conversation that I used to have when I called home to my mother and whatnot. And he got on the phone one day and I, you know, man, got cool. And when I actually got out, man, and started bonding, and whatnot, and he became more like a brother. But you know, he got caught in the situation, being in the wrong place at the wrong time. You know what I mean? Like that saying, like Kobe Brown always tell me from time to time, be mindful who you keep around in the circle. True or whatnot. It just happened one night, you know what I mean? He was in the neighborhood, you know, he and few of the fellas or whatnot. And something, the energy just that night just didn't seem right or whatnot. And bro was so adamant about where he had to go. And me and a few of the fellas like, nah, bro, just chill out tonight. So he was so adamant about getting where he going. Last thing you know what I mean? I was staying with my Aunt Sherry at that time over here on Chautauqua Lane. And as soon as I get to the house, like 2 hours later, I got a phone call from my mother saying he was gone. So it was like, you know what I mean? It was tragic because, you know, it was like,
It's cool. It's cool. We get it.
Good.
It's cool. We get it. Thank you for sharing that, man. That's all good. Thank you for sharing.
Thank
that.
you for sharing.
All right, who else would like to answer the question?
So I've actually had an incident where, my oldest having a gun pulled out on him while he was going home from school. And it put him in a state of shock to where he didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to talk about who it was. He couldn't get to talk to the police or anything like that. So that's how it's personally impacted me. And it's just like something that's just ongoing and it keeps going.
True. Yeah, definitely something that's ongoing. It's been a lot of incidents is going on lately, where young men have been getting gunned down. Young men are murdering themselves out here. And
That's true.
whether it's gang related or whatever it is, you know, it's plaguing us all, and it's something that needs to stop and get a hold on it the best that we can. And it starts at home, teaching our young, you know, teaching our babies truth about guns, period, and what they actually are for. A gun can protect you, but a gun can also take a life. And that's why we're here to work on figuring out different ways we can get the youth to, you know, deal with their anger issues before they pick up a gun, pick up a book, or do something different. Yeah, go ahead.
See a lot of brothers here. How many of y'all fathers? Everybody. How many have you of you have taken your kids shooting? 1, 2. All right. So did you hide your guns from your kids, or did you tell them what they were about?
I don't know what they were about.
You told them what they were about.
Both.
I think what happens in Black communities, we have an innate fear of guns. You know, grandma said, "No, baby, don't carry no gun. Lord Jesus, we gonna get you." It was always that separation between us and firearms. White folks, on the other hand, were teaching their kids how to shoot when they were 3 years old. So I kind of bridged the gap between the two. I took my grandson shooting when he was 3 years old. He shot his first handgun when he was 3. And the reason I did that was to show him, hey, this ain't a game. So he pulled the trigger on a 9mm. I can leave my guns anywhere in the house. He won't touch none of them. If I hid that gun from him, what's the likelihood of him finding that gun and trying to figure it out on his own? It's very high. So all these kids are getting shot by finding their parents, some adults' firearms. They don't know what to do with it. They end up shooting themselves. There's 1,000 stories of little kids finding guns shooting themselves. So whatever you hide from your children on a broader scale, not just firearms, whatever they find on their own is what you want to worry about. Whatever you introduce to them will be that growing point for them going forward. They don't know what to do with it. So I say hide nothing from me, including my faults. I don't hide that from my kids either. Hey, daddy messed this up. Daddy went to jail for this. Daddy was going too fast, baby. That's why the blue light's back there. Hide nothing from your children, especially guns. Take them out there shooting. Just don't have a gun in the house without introducing them to what it's capable of. And you'll have less of a problem with them finding the gun and doing something stupid if you show it to them yourself.
Well said, well said. Thank you so much. Before we move on, anybody else got anything to say on that one? All right, cool. All right, next question. Why do you think gun violence continues to be such a widespread issue in our communities?
What you just said.
Why?
What did you just say?
Anybody want to reiterate?
I also think it's because of identity crisis, like knowledge of self. When you understand the power that you hold, you understand who you are, and you understand how to conduct yourself.
True.
So Nipsey Hussle, he did an interview. He was talking about finding yourself on the other side of town. So when I'm a affiliated gang member and I'm riding on the other side of town to look for other affiliated gang members, and I see other people who don't look like me, then I'm not targeting them, but I'm targeting people who look like themselves. So in knowing who you are, you have the ability to understand, what is my purpose here? What am I supposed to be doing? So I think that plays a big part as well, why it continues to be a widespread issue. But as you see, the OGs get older and they get the opportunity to beat gun violence and live a long life. They get to know themselves and then they pass that knowledge down. And so they had the opportunity to be wise, but many young men didn't get the opportunity to be wise. And so I think that's why it's a widespread issue.
All right.
The reason why, like you were saying, why I think the gun issues still is a crisis, because back when I was coming up, when I grew up, and probably a few of you other gentlemen who came up in that era was where back in the day when men or young gentlemen used to have a situation or issue with each other. It used to be you probably had uncles and older cousins and be like, nah, y'all get in that backyard, y'all squabble, get down, and go on about your business. See, that's a lost art in this day and age, because now everybody, when they got the issue with another man or whatnot, they don't resort to that. The first thing they got to do is put on the show. Man, I'm about to go get the thing. Hey, boy, you got to jump past me. I'm about to go flame old boy up. Why I got to be like that when you can just, yo, bro, you know what? That issue we got, we can talk like men, or you know what, we're going to take it in the backyard. That's going to be that. I ain't saying I got to like you or whatnot, whatever. But hey, that's still just like Aaron the plumber. Y'all probably familiar with Aaron the plumber, the dude who always talking crazy about fades and wanting to fade everybody and this and that. Well, he made his statement was like when he was in prison, you feel me? In prison, they got knives, whatever. But the main thing is if you would have an issue with somebody, you approach that man, you and that man get down and that's that. It's not but I can't get the jump from my man, because in prison you ain't got no gun. You got these and what they call the shame. It's either one of the two. Yeah, that's true. You can't run to that field, you can't run to your home, boy. It's either this or that. What you gonna do? Fight or run? True.
Yeah, I mean that brings it to your point, like so you don't have the pistol or gun or whatnot, or you have with your hands and a knife or a shank. So that lets you know that really the gun is just a tool for the means that you use to express your emotions. And my thing is, I think it's still a problem because there's a lack of emotional intelligence. And, you know what I'm saying? Also examples, there's generations now of this violence. We might have our reasons to be violent, or have violent tendencies or whatnot. But, to my brother Jesse's point, knowledge of self, that's monumental. But even with knowledge of self, you still have to have that emotional intelligence, because if whatever has happened has brought you to that point to where you think you need to kill, harm, or shoot at somebody, you need to really ask yourself that question, because it's very few things where a gun is going to be my means to end the tool that I'm going to use. It's not too many options out there. It's having emotional intelligence, like you said, to talk it out or some type of conflict resolution. There's always a diplomatical approach. So it's different means, but that's my answer to that. And going off these two gentlemen's responses.
Yeah, to go by that, I'd say the building has 3 stories. Number one, then that's why I asked how many fathers were present. That plays a large part in the young man's life, whether that young man admits it or not. That's the first floor, foundation, right? Second floor would be, how do you handle conflict? I mean, what is your normal way that your everyday way of, I'm mad, what do you do about it? What's that thing that you do to calm yourself down? And I would say, last but not least, poverty.
Oh, yeah.
Poverty has a huge impact on the way Black folk. Me and Jesse were talking outside. We were discussing the small picture. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. The small picture that would be you grind. That's what Black folk do. You hustle. You got to pay bills. You got to do this. There's certain things that you hustle. You don't have time to think about how you feel about something. You really don't have time to consider your feelings, because it's always a hustle, on to the next hustle, trying to survive. Survival mode. And so when somebody interrupts that survival mode, you don't know how to handle your emotions. You don't have time to check your emotions. That's where Black people fall short. We don't have time to consider things that other ethnicities do.
Or observe.
Or observe. If the only thing you know is the hood.
Yeah, you don't culture yourself.
If the only thing you know is the hood, say, for example, I was talking to my grandson, I was like, look, pull your pants up. I don't care what you've seen on TV. We got to we're beefing, right? I said, it's acceptable here. It's not acceptable anywhere else. Why is it acceptable in the hood if it's not acceptable anywhere else on the planet except for the hood? You gotta grow beyond your surroundings. You have to. Anybody else been in the military? Come in there with your pants at.
Yep. That's true.
Yeah.
So you got to consider where things are acceptable and where they're not. True. And you have to plan. That's one other thing. That's another conversation about planning. But plan for the thing that you want and not where you are. If you can't see past where you are, you're probably losing battle already.
That's true.
That's real true. That was like the next question. Sorry. I said it was a cheat sheet. So he already touched on it a little bit, but what role do social and economic conditions play in increasing or decreasing gun violence? So he kind of hit the nail on the head.
So on the other end of that, when Rome was going through its periods of conflict, they would give people the games, right? They would entertain the population.
Right.
So, and then one thing that the Romans were saying back in the day stuck with me: we'll give them their heroes. So, oh my God, what do you mean you give them their heroes? We'll give them something to worship.
Right.
What is society giving Black folk to worship? Don't worry, I'll wait. Entertainers.
Yep.
So whatever entertainers do, they're giving you your heroes. They're not giving you a choice. If you were free thinking, knowledge of self, you would choose who you pattern yourself after. They're giving you your heroes, and I guess we're taking the bait. So when kids mimic what they see on TV, DMX. No, every lyric to the song, right? Is it a peaceful song? Any of them?
Most of them.
You said you were robbed to eat.
Yeah.
And there's a million of them like them.
Flash, you much don't want it.
Hey, it's that mentality. So we keep feeding into it and wonder why the beast keeps getting bigger. We keep feeding. We're talking about gun violence. What do you see portrayed on rap videos?
Yeah. The guns, the money, and
Money, power, respect. Hey, I mean, it's
not
just,
only that, we got social media.
oh my God, don't get ooh.
And think about it, you lose.
Yes, sir.
You lose forever. Everybody keeps saying it 5-6 years ago. When we used to lose,
Yeah.
only a few people, and then we were word of mouth.
That's right.
You know.
That's right. Now everybody knows.
Yeah.
And so that feeds into your ego. I can't let this man beat me like this.
I'm gonna get my gun.
I gotta do something.
Yeah.
And so it's a repetitive cycle that was given to you. It's not something Black people came up with on their own. Because who's signing your music contract? Who's approving the songs that go on the record? It ain't us.
Right.
It ain't us telling us to kill each other. That's some executive that's gonna make billions of dollars and pay you pennies. Say to your own people.
Or you want me to ban them?
Tell them, baby.
Right. She has some words to say about gun violence.
You guys can hear me well?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Question number 6. The role of education in prevention.
So that time
This is a new topic. Okay, the role of education in prevention.
turn the mic towards your mouth.
Are we headed to the next section, the role of education in prevention? How can education be a powerful tool in preventing gun violence?
Well, I feel education, from 2 different perspectives. From my man's, you can turn from what my man's here does, with the education of a gun, period. Understand how guns, what they are, how they work, etc. That education can definitely prevent the violence. But also, if you study gun violence from a history perspective, and this conflict resolution and conflict period from a history perspective, you can better understand alternative routes other than this gun violence. If you're gonna be about that life, if you're gonna, live by the sword, die by the sword. Regardless of whatnot, you can find different means to educate yourself to where you don't have to worry about the gun violence. We want a positive resolution, to where one is not inflicting violence by any means. But if you see that, okay, it didn't work for such and such when they decided to run up in there and just start shooting, and you realize you ain't got no partner, so your partner's with you ain't really about that, and you really, so you can have different, educational perspectives from history, to support that kind of stuff. Period.
That's beautiful. If I can speak, I look forward to our brother Stephen Brown. I look forward to his segment that he's going to educate us on gun violence. For those who don't know, he's a concealed carry instructor. Myself and my family, we took our concealed carry class with him. So the last time I took a concealed carry class was back in 2014, and then just took one with him in 2024. And to realize how much gun laws have changed just in that short period of time, that I think that's my answer to the question, is to be around people who are knowledgeable, such as Mr. Brown, so that we can learn and we can spread that knowledge.
And to take it back off what he said earlier, I shot my first gun at 6 or 7. But I didn't ever mess with a gun. The gun was laid out in the closet. I didn't ever mess with it. But I knew what they did. And my granddad told me deer hunting, so I seen what they could do.
Exactly that. Exactly.
Now, tell me who was that introduction to you first?
My dad and my granddad.
Wow. So that goes to show what Mr. Brown was saying, the importance of a father in the household. We gotta be
My
there.
dad showed me how to do shotgun. My granddad showed me how to do this.
That's beautiful. Next question. Question number 7. What are some ways schools can do better in educating students about gun violence and conflict resolution?
That kind of tie back to what he was talking about earlier.
From a history perspective, teaching it in history. I mean, you can teach it as a extracurricular, not curricular activity, but extra, curriculum, type course. But we talk about all the different history. Talk about that history. I mean, unfortunately, in America, it's been more than enough mass shootings of all magnitudes affecting all different races, creeds, and colors. So it's enough to go around, to talk about it, and even how to take a step deeper and learn about the psyche of the actual shooter.
Yeah.
What was they going through? What caused it? Were they down and out? Was they just bullied and they snapped? Like, what did were they a hothead? Did they come from 2-parent home? Like, it's just different things you can analyze that one could possibly relate to them oneself to better understand gun violence and realize that's not really the answer, because we're only talking about gun violence because it's negatively impacting. I don't know statistically if they include like self-defense or police-related shootings that are they're granted decent in gun violence. I don't know if those statistics go with gun violence, or these are just straight up negligent homicidal, attempted murder type attacks when it comes to gun violence. So that right there alone should help out.
Yeah, and it's not statistical data; it's inaccurate. I'm not saying that you're inaccurate. I'm just saying
no.
data about shootings.
It's always going to be skewed.
It's not always skewed.
And how you perceive.
Right. And so if you Google right now, who's responsible for the most mass shootings, you'll have a picture of a black person on it. If you Google it right now, it'll come up that black people commit the most mass shootings. We all know that ain't the case. Come on now. Everybody know that ain't the case.
Now we gotta ask how you define the mass shooting.
So
how many people had to be there?
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, it's wild how the narrative is skewed. One of the most skewed narratives I've ever seen in my life. 70% of all shootings have been, oops, my bad, accidents. 70%, according to the FBI's data. But according to the news, these Negroes just lost their mind. They going crazy, baby. They just shooting everybody. Wait a minute. But the FBI statistics that came from actual shootings, engagements, actual data that they researched said 70% of all shootings have been accidents. So why is it all of a sudden directed toward a certain demographic? Are you trying to turn the public's opinion of a certain demographic?
Oh, ain't no turning. They're just trying to keep the fire burning.
They're trying to keep the fire burning. And so what's the agenda behind what you know of guns? It's all a setup. It's all a setup. During some first running for president, white folk bought 500,000 guns. You couldn't even find bullets. Y'all remember? White people buying them all. Yes, I said it on camera. Yes. You go to Kelly's bush you want to, you better get that 5 in the morning. What you buying all these bullets for? So black people are committing all these shootings. Where we getting guns from? If they buying them all.
Because I remember one time I had a conversation with a person, white woman, I'll say put it like that, and somehow we got to talk about guns, and her thought process of the way guns made it into criminals' hands. Right. She used black folks, she used criminals.
Same thing.
Is that they break into the houses and get it, and I'm like, nah, that's a lot of breaking into houses.
So black people are breaking into houses where
criminals.
I'm sorry, camera. I'm sorry. So you saying that black folk broke into houses that had guns?
And they knew it.
Then they knew they had guns.
It's like back in the day when you would lose the key to your mama's house, and she had to change the locks because they knew that key that they found was for the house. No, it ain't. Nobody know that's your key to your house. So when I break into the house, I know it's gun in there.
Yeah, so come on, yeah.
So we casing people's houses not just to make sure there's some guns. Just
it's a whole black market for it.
Right.
Yeah, that's that box with guns in it.
But now, let me ask this question. That if it's okay to ad lib a little bit.
Yeah, man.
The question was, what are some ways schools can do better in educating students about gun violence and conflict resolution? Is it the responsibility of the school to do that?
Nah.
Somewhat.
It's somewhat it is, but biblically speaking, charity starts at home and spreads abroad.
Now, with you saying that, is there a pact or is there is there a resolution that we can come with in the room at this moment that everybody can take with them to take back home? Is there one particular thing that everyone in this room can do to say, this is what I'm going to do in beginning the education of gun violence and conflict resolution?
Right. Like my man Educator.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for the ladies that are sitting here, when you go back home and you get the opportunity to speak to your grandkids about gun violence, what would you tell them? I was saying that when you go back home and say your grandkids come to the house and you have the opportunity to speak to them about gun violence and about conflict resolution, what is it that you would tell them?
I always tell my grandchildren, you got to be careful who your friends are and who you meet, you know what I'm saying? Because, I have my own way. I'm not single. I stay by myself. But I don't let them, know where I have my gun. I always keep it safe, put up. But I always keep it loaded. Yes, I do, because I don't want nobody, like to come and break in on me. But just the idea, I let them, even though they stay with their dad, and he learned them. He take them to the gun range, just like Mr. Brown said. He took them to the gun range while they were young and try to learn them, how to shoot. But just the idea, sometimes it's a good thing, and then to me, it's not a good thing. Because when a child get upset and you know, get mad at a person, that's the first thing they think about, you know what I'm saying? Oh, I got this, where my daddy got this, and if I can find it, I'm gonna do this. No, that's not the you know, the thing to do. The thing to do is just y'all get together and sit down and talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Don't go out here and try to take control over something that you know what I'm saying, you can lose your life. The rest of your life can be gone, destroyed. Because, you know, if you kill somebody, you gone for the rest of your, you know, you really gone. There's no coming back. Because they're giving you life. You know what I'm saying? Without parole, without anything. And I tell my grandchildren all the time, talk to your person, talk to your parents, whatever the situation is, you know, but they have bullies. You know what I'm saying? My granddaughter, she was in a fight last year and at the school. And this girl, you know, just come up to her no reason and want to jump on her. And like we always tell her, you know, you take care of yourself, but and you do it the right way, not the wrong. You use what God gave you, the hand. You don't be using no gun, no knife, no none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? You know, you talk to the good girl. Just the idea, if you could talk to a person, maybe you can find out why she want to start something with you, or maybe just because she don't, you know, if a person say, "Oh, I don't like you because you this or you that," but if you get together and you talk and communicate, maybe you can solve a lot of stuff. Because a lot of times we don't, as parents, some parents take their children to be their friends. No, that's the wrong thing to do. You need to be a mother and a father to raise your children.
That's right.
Because now these days, these parents are getting their children to be their friends. Or they, oh, this is my friend. No, I'm not the friend, I'm the mama.
That's right.
And so what I say, it goes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
A lot of nowadays, you know what I'm saying? I thank God for this right here. Because we need this everywhere. There's so many killings, and you know, I mean, I just watched, you know, I've been watching the news and I've been seeing all these people getting killed for no reason, you know what I'm saying? And and all of it's about, it's a lot of our black kids. It's a lot of it's over 1,000% black. They're killing each other. Why? All you got to do is talk, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, back in the day, we went behind the house and we fight it out. You know what I mean? That's what they need to do. They need to let these guns go, because you ain't, hey, the people love it. I mean, a lot of whites, they love it. Hey, we get them, let them kill each other. When they kill each other, we ain't got to worry about it. So, I mean, that's what's going on now. You taking your own brother and sister out of the world for what?
Yeah, that's true. Oh, she put it down. She put it down.
Well said. Well said.
No, I'm sorry, just for the sake of time with moderation, how exactly? Sorry, man.
No, you're fine. But she made the perfect point. The only thing I would say that might be a little different is it's not as many black people shooting each other as you would think. There are a lot of shootings in the black community. There are just as many in white communities. You just don't see it on the news. And to prove that point, when's the last time you seen black folk on 2020? I killed my wife with insurance money. When the last time? Oh yeah, it's happened. Yeah, or snap. I mean, it's just as many white people killing each other as there are black people killing each other. It's just not as televised. But to the rest of your point, you put it down. Yes, ma'am. You're right. Can't get no right.
But
God bless you.
Gun violence don't see no color.
It doesn't. Bullet has nobody's name, no color.
All right, moving on to the next question. Question number 8. How do literacy and access to books create better opportunities and alternatives for young people?
And like, we can sit here and tell our kids to pick up that book, all well, cool, great. That's want them to be educated and well equipped. But that's still not gonna stop them from being exposed to guns.
That's right.
You know what I mean? It's the point of when you get exposed to this, what's the right thing to do and what's the wrong thing to do. Because it's easy to load up and boom, boom, let that thing rip. But it's more hard to you know, I know what is the right thing to do with it, But like y'all said, Coach, I'm not Coach Brown, but Brother Brown said, like the Roman said, let's give them their hero. When you entertained by what you hear in the radio and all this, when the entertainers flashing the money, they got the big pistol with the nice babe and the nice G-Ride. Some of the youngsters now, they get the gun and they feel that's power. I got this power in my hand. So forget a book. A book ain't nowhere about this gun. I can make anybody do what I want them to do. I can make you move how I want you to move. With this gun in my hand, your life in my hand, I can blow you to be gone.
Play devil's advocate, you know, so really what the book is doing is promoting the lifestyle that we all live now. So, you know, ain't none of us out here looking for nothing, I hope. I know I'm not. I ain't looking for nothing. But, you know, it's ready if necessary, you know what I'm saying, or close by, whatever that may be. But we all read books, listen to podcasts, radio, whatever, something that's enlightening us, feeding our spirit, our soul, and our minds. So that's what the book and the literacy can do, because you want to eliminate the gun to a sense because of the lack of knowledge of self, the lack of emotional intelligence, the lack of right environment, all that. So yeah, having that gun, that tool, and that would match with that particular individual don't make sense. But what you bring and what we all believe is once you educate about that gun, you know how to handle that gun. It's like when they teach you karate and taekwondo and all that. Yeah. Like, yeah, you know, as black folks, you know how to do that shit. Yeah. But you ain't using it. They ain't walking around looking like, oh, watch me. You can't, no. So it's the same thing, you know, with the gun, with the literacy, that literacy can do that knowledge of self. You know what I'm saying? The outlet, you know. You might find a series of books or a type of genre of books that you like, man, versus me going into that environment where anything is possible. It's 50-50. Mm-hmm. Let me stay at home and read my book. Oh God, man, this book got me. You know what I'm saying? I can't wait to finish. I ain't never thought a book would have my attention like this. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I feel like literacy can do.
Yeah, I'll say this too, man. I learned the hard way. My kids do what I do. They don't do what I say. Can I be blunt? Your kids ain't gonna do what you say. They're gonna do what they see you do. They don't see you reading a book. That's what they're gonna do.
Yeah, 100%.
If they see you shooting guns and acting a fool and helping, they're gonna follow suit. So if you don't do what you want them to do in front of them, don't expect them to take it upon themselves to have the initiative. You the parent. They're gonna do what you do.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like a product of the box.
Absolutely that. I don't think there's a better way to put it. If you want your kids to be successful, you have to put them in a position to be successful.
Yes.
What did they see you? Did they see you waking up every day with a mission? Or did they see you laying there until you got to go to work? Or did you not have time for them? Whatever you're doing at the house, just make that minor adjustment. I'm not judging anybody because I ain't got it right. I'm not judging anybody for what they do. I will say this though, whatever you instill in them, whatever they see you do, they're going to follow suit. Well, that's Chris that they model. Mm. If you can't do math, guess what?
Y'all be shut out your mind.
My daughter made, when she came home with her math grades, I was like, you're just like your daddy. You're just like your daddy. You did good in social studies, you did good in your free writing and all that stuff. Woo, we need to pray about this math though. Yeah, but your kids will do whatever they see you do. So you started. I understand that we want to build something for the youth. You can't build nothing for the youth unless you started. They're not going to automatically have the mind that you want them to have. You have to have the example that you set.
And relatability.
And relatability. Big fact.
Relatability. A lot of kids don't want to read them. They want to play the video game.
Yep.
And violent.
That's right. Yep.
And kill them.
And they got and the video games got more than one life. You die, you come back.
Yeah. Let me pose a question. Let me pose a question. Because for most of us, we came up, we were raised or either born when rap music came around. We was either raised or born when video games, you know, really started becoming a thing. You know, we was probably a little bit older when the whole streaming social media thing, you know, kind of took off a little bit, you know, those 2000 era. Yeah. So with that being said, these mindsets or whatever aren't or trends aren't really that old. So is it safe to say, or one ponder that these things will eventually phase out? Because as we get older and as we, get more influential and things like that get more prominent, like, and I'm talking about, when I say we, I'm talking like this in general, like culture, race, whatever you want to call it. So how much would that eventually be influenced? Or is it will revert, it is, this is what's good for business, let's keep it going. Because there is a more of a conscious, I feel like on a mainstream level, kind of starting to merge or whatnot, but like, rap just hit 50 years old. Video games probably ain't too much far behind. Like at some point, like I don't know, but I don't think it's gonna be the same. What we talk about now is, our grandchildren we talk about 50 years from now. You know what I'm saying? So at what point does it, naturally just switch, or every era has its, its things. You know what I'm saying? But
I hate to refer to the Bible because some people don't believe it, but the Bible says a child left to himself would embarrass his parents. Where do these kids spend most of their time? By themselves. So if you leave them in the room to play video games, you don't check on them. Hey, let's go outside and do something. You leaving that child to himself, he's going to embarrass you one day. Guaranteed. Drive past the parks around here. How many kids you see in the park?
Not few. Not many.
Depends on what neighborhood.
It does depend on what neighborhood. Matter of fact, I live in a mostly white neighborhood. But yeah, most of the people, all my neighbors are white. I'm sorry. I'm scared to death. Got a Trump sign on the right next to the tree by my house. We'll talk about that later. All right, but nobody's in a white neighborhood. Nobody goes to the park. It's like the parks we used to go to all the time. They don't exist anymore. I mean, the kids don't want it. They want to be in the house with video games and everything else. But if you leave that child to himself, that's a sign of that. Hey, son, let's go get the football, baseball, basketball. Come on, son, let's go do this. Or daughter, let's go do this. Let's go do this. There has to be that initiative by the parents to get them out of that. Because we can see the result of it. COVID was proved that all together. All these kids doing their homework at the house. Oh, that proved itself.
So then it goes back to me and my thoughts in my mind. It goes back to product and environment. What are the parents doing?
Yes, it all rolls back down toward.
Because like you said,
toward example.
A lot of parents now are in hustle mode. So mom's she's working 3-4 jobs because she's a single parent.
That's right.
Or dad's in jail.
That's right.
Or, what I'm saying, so many different scenarios. So the product of the environment, to me, is always gonna keep coming up.
It's always gonna keep coming up.
But you can't put too much on the schools because you gotta look at the teachers.
Yeah.
Some of these teachers, they're dealing with these same children that they're not getting responses. They're not talking to the parents. The parents won't call them back. So
absolutely. And so the responsibility does always seem to fall back on the parents. It's not true in every aspect. I'm not going to give that, that point out, but it is the responsibility 99.9% of the time on what they're mimicking. They see mama do this, they do the same thing. We have to break that one cycle, and I think it comes from that system of poverty that we were shoved into. I want you to notice something about New Bern, North Carolina. And any other black neighborhood, all have one thing in common. I'm from St. Louis. I was born there. I grew up here. When I went back home to visit family in St. Louis, I was like, okay, this is Mississippi River. There's a black neighborhood. Everything else white. Downtown New Bern, white neighborhood, black neighborhood, water. Central Los Angeles, which is in the center of. They tell you you're surrounded. Strategically, if white folk were to do what they did in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in New Bern, North Carolina, where black folk are going to run to? You got the water on one side, you have the white neighborhood on the other. Strategic, which is why they force you by redlining to live in certain neighborhoods. Redlining says, we can't rent the black folk on that side of town. No, we want to keep black folks separate from white folks. So you can't live in a white neighborhood. What's wrong with you, nigga? Get out of here. That's the idea behind where black people are positioned in society and where white people are positioned in society. So you are pushed in this corner of town. No wonder you don't know what the rest of the world look like. The median income from a black family is $46,000 a year. The median income from a white family is $270,000 a year.
Like we got some work to do.
Is that by coincidence? No. Is it by coincidence? It's systematic. So is it by coincidence or by design that black people are that much more poor?
Well,
no. Black people invented everything here.
Yeah.
The video game cartridge was invented by black folk. GPS was invented by black people.
Know we've been screwed.
So if we've been screwed, then what is your rebuttal to what we do next if we know we've been screwed because all the people that invented everything, including the home security system, black women.
Make sure we don't do what our ancestors did. Don't give them none for free. Keep your identity to yourself. Build with each other. You know, if you got that, you know, big idea, you know, figure out how you can at least keep it local. Can't keep it black. I mean, it's not really a simple answer. But it takes, you know, faith, 100%. It takes, you know, perseverance. It takes sleepless nights, but it also takes education. You know, I know me and Brother Jess had a little debate about when I say, you know, learn the game, learn what they doing and do that. You know what I'm saying? You know, systematic. That's a whole different thing. You know what I'm saying? But the best thing to do is to change your self-position and as a piece on the puzzle.
That's true.
You know, if it's systematic.
Not interrupt you, but you got a great point there. The only thing I'll say about that is they were using redlining maps in 2025. Telling black folk where you got good credit. Yes, sir.
You can't say that. I'm a real estate agent. You can't say that.
Yeah, but I'm saying you say that a lot of different places. Because I can name several.
It's called steering. You can't, regardless of whether or not you can't steer. It's called steering. When you try to get a certain, even from, and it's probably is on the mortgage side too, but you need to only look in this area over here. You need to look at this zip code over here.
Exactly that.
Like that's called steering, or I forgot the other phrase, but another example was like, you don't want to live over there. That's why all the agents there.
There you go.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So you either steering them or you redirect. You can't do any of that as a real estate agent. So if anyone listening or in the audience has come across a scenario like that, report it. The North Carolina Real Estate Commission. They waiting to write somebody up. That's the whole purpose of the commission, is for the betterment of the people, to protect the customer.
So steering is saying, hey, you don't.
You can't. If you're dealing with a real estate agent, because most likely that's who's going. Now it's a little different if you're dealing with, you can find a person on Facebook Market and they selling their trailer.
Yeah.
The rules are a little different for this a regular old person. You know, they can just be an a-hole racist if they want to, kinda ish. You know, but if you're dealing with a real estate agent and you going through the proper channel as far as like get you a piece of property and you got you an agent who is on, you know, if you didn't request this, you can request it. Oh, I want to live in this zip code. I want to live in this neighborhood, or this county. That's you made that request. But if I'm only showing you these areas, or I'm only telling you about, or I just every time you ask about this, I'll come up with some kind of excuse. That's steering. That's great, and you can report a person. So don't be, once again, goes back to education. Like, don't be a victim. You know what I'm saying? We all gonna play the fool.
No.
That's a given. But you know, what does it say? Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. No,
fool me twice.
I know how it goes. The bottom line, don't get got twice.
Yeah. There you go.
You know what I'm saying? You know something? Say something.
Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes is, "Are you gonna be more dedicated to your trauma than your healing?" At some point, we got to work on the healing and moving forward. You know, not disagreeing. None you saying about, you know, the whole redlining and white folk this and all the systematic is 100%. But shit, me personally, like I'm straight. You know what I'm saying? I see what you did. Okay, I got you play. Okay, it's part of the gang. You know, so no different in the streets. You know what I'm saying? You get robbed or something. Then they caught me slipping. All right, they ain't gonna catch me next time. Same mindset. Like, okay, that's what it's gonna be. So learning how taxes work, learning how the importance of a C corp, S corp or LLC works. All those different things to benefit yourself and really your equity in that work. Is the gap ridiculous? Heck yeah. And is it gonna get more ridiculous? Heck yeah, because it's all trickling to the top anyway. But as the little raindrops crumbs come down, I'm gonna be a big ass basket. And I'm gonna get this money. And I'm gonna set my family up. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. True. Very true.
But a lot of people don't know about these stuff. You know what I'm saying? They ask.
Right.
They ask the other cover. And they're gonna take the money bill.
Right.
They can get that payment, but you could have got.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm. And that does happen on the table. And my only question to you would, how would you spread that? How would you spread that out? I'm sorry. How would you get that information to more people aside from what we're doing now? Hopefully that's gonna reach more people.
I mean, it's
They gotta want it.
here you go. The algorithm has to answer.
You gotta want it. And I think a lot of people stay in the same mindset that they're in because they don't want it.
Oh, yeah.
It's out there. It's easy to complain about it. It's easy to talk about it than it is to read and learn and do.
So lazy minded, you don't want to do what it takes to pull yourself back.
Or scared.
Or scared, yeah.
Yeah, the scared man, you know, puts in different defense mechanisms.
Yeah. And then you end up in the whole situation you're talking about.
Real quick, I had something I wanted to say. Y'all said a lot of good stuff. I did, yeah, Milton. Yeah. You ain't wrong, Nah, I just want to say, I kind of want to reiterate on everything that y'all was saying. I know I was hearing something you were saying about hip hop and all of that. And all kinds of everything kind of plays in part with one another. It was something I was just looking at. We were talking about when hip hop first started. And this goes back to the education part. That's why I said it's important. That's why I wanted to interject. We're going to have our intermission. Everybody can do whatever, and these two brothers have a presentation. But what I wanted to say was, when hip hop first started, it was started in the inner cities, just like breakdancing. Right? Anybody know why breakdancing got started?
Alternative to something.
Exactly.
Because there was a crew, there was a clique, yeah.
Right, that one. Right. So breakdancing was started as, you know what I'm saying, to change that. To you know, for gang members and rival crews and neighborhoods to find another way through the art to battle it out. You know what I'm saying? You have a disagreement, and I came up with it. You have a disagreement. You go to, you know what I'm saying, then we'll go to Trent Court, go to Craven Terrace, we pull out the cardboard boxes, and we start battling, we start breakdancing. Hip hop was the same thing. Hip hop was started in the basements, in Bronx and Brooklyn, and it was for that same reason. But hip hop took it a little bit further. Hip hop was about education. That's what we're talking about, right? That's the big thing, is education. So hip hop started to educate, you know what I'm saying, self-knowledge, you know, it brought about Africa Bambaataa, the Zulu Nation, right, Nelly Mel, the Jewish Five, you know what I mean, it brought about a lot of KRS-One, you know what I'm saying, pro-righteous teachers. These brothers, and I'm gonna say sisters, they big Latino, you know what I'm saying, MC Light, you know what I mean, they came out talking about, you know what I'm saying, the stuff that was going on, it was pain and torture. That's what it was about, pain and torture. Now we're looking at, you know, they started going into systematic. They started systematically separating us into genres of music and entertainment to get their point across. And what was their point? The industry wanted to control things. They wanted the violence. They wanted to change the narrative away from what these brothers and sisters were talking about. I can't think who the rapper was, but there was a rapper who said, you know, as much as he loved West Coast hip hop, NWA and whatnot, when NWA came out with F Police and a couple of other songs, that's what they wanted. It changed the narrative. It went from self-destruction.
Gave them the narrative.
It gave them a narrative. Now, I can go a little bit deeper than that. If any of y'all seen the movie, who pushed them with that song?
What's my man like?
The Jewish dude.
Jewish dude.
Yeah.
Even though that was their idea, he pushed them with that song. And that was one of the reasons why Ice Cube left. He was like, okay, you letting a Jewish dude break up my crew? You don't know the devil. Y'all letting a Jewish dude break up our crew? They're coming in between what we're trying to build, and it's true. But what's the reason for it? One of Bone Thugs and Harmony, I'm gonna say Claude, said he has his own little podcast and he was talking about it in the but was saying that one of the reasons they did this, a lot of people don't think about this, and this is true. The researchers will find out this is true. The jails make a lot of money, right? When you're locked in, not just prison, but jail, even in Lincoln County Jail, I think it's like $1,000 or something. Don't quote me on that. For each inmate, right? So how do they get these revolving doors for people? Because when you got people like us that's trying to educate, we're trying to start a movement.
Yeah.
What you said?
School to prison pipeline.
School to prison
Yeah,
pipeline.
but ask yourself, how much money did the prison system make in the last year? $9 billion.
Facts.
How'd you make $9 billion? Well, one person answered the question for me. He said, Idaho potatoes are grown on the prison farm. Anderson wood flooring, furniture made in prison.
Right.
The guidance system for the Patriot missile, Victoria's Secret, JCPenney's clothing. That's why they went out of business when people find out their clothes made in prison. And that's why Victoria's Secret almost went out of business, because they found out that prisons were making their own.
Right.
So yeah, there's an incentive to keep people in prison, because every product that you can think of is made in prison.
That part. And that's
Yeah.
right. And
It's
that's
a good
something,
situation for two entities.
right. And
You know what I'm saying?
thank you. And that's something that a lot of
If
people don't.
if I sell products and you can make my products at a
Free.
well, yeah, for free, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, and it's legal, you know, and I don't have a moral compass.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's, you know, and that's the way them things move. Just sucks, you know, because there's no different supply and demand. You know, if when someone sells drugs, like, hey, how you sell them drugs? Look through the community, or look into the man or woman or not. That moment, that person will be down.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Because they need this money. You know, most people get into the game because they need some money. You know, some people get in the game just for the lifestyle, for the flashiness. But I did want to go back to your whole thing with on the music. So what it sounds like, I mean, what I'm listening to you is pondering. It's like the NWA and all that kind of stuff. Like that was gonna happen no matter what, because that's part of the environment. Right. You know what I'm saying? I'm poetically giving out what, you know, my environment is. The problem was that it became the number one thing and stayed the number one thing. So to the African Bombadas and Queen Latifahs and all those public enemies, all those type of folk, they eventually withered away because all the marketing dollars was pushed into that. Right. And so it's like now, the way to do that, well, one way to really do that is just be independent, don't need the labels, but that's easier said than done because you have to have cash flow. Mm-hmm. But it's like what it needs to be a reset to where that now that the number one product or the variety of products being pushed at the same level with the same marketing dollars has to change. As long as these kids like that rapping or whatever, change all that BS stuff they don't do, lifestyle, whatever. That's what's gonna keep pushing, Right. Yeah. But at the moment, I swear to God, if it changes to where now mainstream is like the Kendricks and J. Cole, Lecrae, all those type of people, right. That positive stuff, how you want to put it. My man's back there, his type vibe, his type, you know what I'm saying? Let that become mainstream or have enough marketing dollars behind it when now it's a thing. Watch it just fall suit.
That's right. And
because there's no original thought in the sun. You know what I'm saying?
Are the mindsets going to change for that where we can help each other? Because that's one of the things that's one of our big downfalls. We don't want to help each other. Right. We're so scared that somebody else is going to be on top of us and do better than us that we're scared to give that information to the next man. So when we do all that, it's that mindset. Because that's the main thing that's holding us back. Yeah. A lot of things.
It does. I will say this though, more white people buy black music than black people buy black music. The reason why NWA and all those boys took off, because white people were buying it. Who were they marketing it to?
Even with NWA, you got to think about the culture that was going on. It was more, when NW came out, it was a lot of gang culture and stuff being.
And they didn't really have a sound before that.
Yeah. They didn't have a sound for it.
Before that. So they it was that culture, and then they made a sound for that, you know, to portray that kind of stuff. Because I was up, and I definitely don't want to deal with the lady said at the end, because to answer the question about the mindset, who knows? Because it's the individual journey, it's individual request or conquer. Like if the person for something to have to change, you have to feel that something's wrong first. So if a person don't see nothing wrong with their way of thinking, and you know what I'm saying, and if you more, like I said earlier, if you more on that trauma than you're healing, if I say something to you, defense. Scared person, because you see me now. That scared person is, oh hell no.
Oh, he's right now. He's right. Yeah.
But after something else, we know stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
We know, but are we gonna acknowledge it?
Are we going to acknowledge it and keep the course that it takes to overcome it?
Right.
Because it's a journey.
And it's a rough journey.
But it's a journey worth time.
And just they put a footnote in it.
Oh, my bad.
We don't want to overstep.
You good. Y'all know I'm gonna talking.
No matter how it's going, live a little life. Stack that paper, be faithful to your wife. And if you locked down, Machiavelli, hold your head. If you locked down, Machiavelli, hold your head. The Don Illuminati, all through your body. Watch the word of God blast, 12 gauge shot it. And if you locked down, Machiavelli, hold your head. If you locked down, Machiavelli, hold your head. Man, take care of them kids, never give up on them. Take care of them babies, let them know you love them. And if you locked down, Machiavelli, hold your head. If you locked down, Machiavelli, hold your head. No matter how it is, it's a blessing in the skies. No matter how it is, it's a blessing in the sky. Find a way to survive, cause they win when your soul dies. You can't own a child of God with free in the mind.